From the outside, our home looked like every other peaceful suburban American household, fresh-cut lawns, bright windows and tidy sidewalks that suggested a life of balance and harmony. But like many homes that appear picture-perfect to strangers driving by, ours carried quiet storms inside, the kind that never roared loudly enough for the neighbors to hear, yet powerful enough to shape lives in ways that scar the soul. My sister, Mara, lived in the eye of that quiet storm. To most people, Mara was the reliable one, the daughter who never failed, the girl who always handled everything with grace, the dependable pillar in a family that seemed to rely on her more than they realized. The world saw her as calm and sensible, but I knew better. I knew the weight she carried wasn't natural for someone her age. It wasn't chosen. It was placed on her shoulders piece by piece, over years of one-sided expectations. And the heartbreaking part, she thought she deserved that weight. She thought imbalance was normal. She thought sacrifice was her duty, until everything collapsed. The first time I realized how deep the imbalance ran was on a cold November night. Mara was sitting at the dining table, textbook sprawled open in front of her. She was working on a scholarship essay she desperately needed, one that could determine her future. But instead of focusing, she kept jumping up, switching laundry loads, reheating dinner plates for our younger sister Chloe, helping Dad find documents he misplaced, calming Mom who had come home irritated from work. Every few minutes, someone called her name. Every few minutes, she answered, "Yeah, I'm coming." Every few minutes, she gave away another piece of herself. Finally, after almost an hour, Chloe said casually, "Mara, can you iron my clothes for tomorrow?" And that was when Mara's eyes flickered with something I hadn't seen before, exhaustion mixed with something darker, resignation. "Mara," I said softly, "you don't have to do everything." She didn't even look up. "I'm the oldest. It's just how it is. But it shouldn't have been. Not like this." At the time, I didn't push. I thought maybe I was imagining things. I thought maybe it was just a stressful day. I was wrong. That day was only the surface, the first layer of a truth far deeper and far more painful. The pattern. Over the next weeks, I paid closer attention. The pattern was undeniable. Whenever something went wrong, Mara was the solution. Whenever someone forgot a task, Mara picked it up. Whenever responsibilities needed to be handled, Mara was nominated without question. And it didn't matter if she was tired, busy, sick, or emotionally drained, the family expected her to be available. Meanwhile, Chloe and I were treated differently. Not badly, just differently. We were allowed to rest. We were allowed to decline. We were allowed to say, "I'm busy." Mara wasn't. Not once. Never. My parents loved us all, but love can be blind, and sometimes blindness causes damage even without intention. They didn't see that they were taking advantage of her. They didn't see the sacrifices she made every day. They didn't see how uneven the scales had become. But I saw, and one night Mara finally broke. The night everything changed. It was late, almost midnight. I walked past her room and heard soft, muffled sobs. At first I froze. Mara never cried. She was the strongest person I knew. I knocked gently. "Mara, can I come in?" There was silence. Then a quiet, "Yeah." She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, her face buried in her arms. Her room looked like a battlefield, papers scattered, books open, a half-written essay glowing on her laptop screen. "I can't do it anymore," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I can't be everything they want." Her words hit me like a punch. For years my sister had been the backbone of our home, the invisible hero, the one who never demanded anything. But now she was crumbling. "What happened?" I asked gently. She took a shaky breath. "I told Mom I needed 2 hours for my scholarship essay. Just 2 hours. And she said, "You can do that later. Right now your sister needs help with her project." Her voice trembled harder. She didn't even ask. She just decided for me. Like what I want doesn't matter. I sat beside her quietly, letting her speak. "I give everything," she whispered, "and they expect more. They praise Chloe when she does something simple, but when I do something big, it's normal, expected, invisible." Her tears spilled faster. "I feel like I'm fading." Those words shattered something inside me. That was when I made a promise, silent but fierce. I will not let her disappear. I will not let her sacrifices stay unseen. I will stand with her, even if the whole house stands against us. The first boundary. The next morning, something happened that set everything in motion. Mom asked Mara to skip a college information session to babysit our cousin's twin boys. Without hesitation, without considering her schedule, without thinking of her dreams, she just assigned it to her. But for the first time, Mara said no. Mom froze. Dad looked confused. Even Chloe stopped scrolling her phone. "What did you say?" Mom asked. Mara swallowed hard. "I can't. I have an important event today." "You can reschedule it," Mom insisted. "I already did that twice this month," Mara said quietly. Mom's face tightened. "So now you're refusing to help the family?" I stepped forward before Mara could answer. She's not refusing. She's balancing the same way we all should. Mom stared at me, surprised, but Mara looked relieved. It was her first boundary. Small, brave, necessary. And it shook the whole house. The shifting storm. Once Mara drew one boundary, she slowly drew more. She stopped dropping everything at a moment's notice. She spoke up when responsibilities were given unfairly. She asked for space when she needed it. She refused emotional guilt tactics. She started investing in her own goals, her writing, her projects, her future. At first, my parents didn't know how to react. They thought it was a phase. They thought she was being dramatic. They thought she was changing, but she wasn't changing. She was awakening. Pressure built in the house, silent, tension that wrapped around every dinner conversation. There were sighs. There were comments. There were heavy looks exchanged across the room, and every step Mara took toward her. Independence felt like a threat to the balance our parents had unintentionally built on her shoulders. But something else was happening too. She was becoming stronger. Her voice steadied. Her back straightened. Her confidence grew. It was beautiful and terrifying and absolutely necessary. The confrontation, the breaking point, came one rainy evening, a night that still feels like thunder echoing in my memory. We sat at dinner, the storm outside matching the storm inside. Mom reminded Mara again to help Chloe with a big school presentation the next day. "I can help," Chloe said quietly, "but I think I should do it on my own." Mom cut her off. "No, Mara will guide you. She's better at this." Mara put down her fork, slowly, carefully, deliberately. "I can't," she said. "I have to finish my portfolio. It's important." Dad sighed loudly. "Everything can't be about your future, Mara. Family comes first." Her eyes lifted, and what I saw in them wasn't anger, wasn't disrespect, wasn't rebellion. It was hurt. Deep, years-old hurt finally surfacing. "My whole life has been about family," she said. "Everything I do is for you. Everything I give is for you. And when have you ever put my future first?" Silence. Heavy. Shocking. Unavoidable. Mom swallowed, unable to answer. Dad stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Even Chloe looked guilty. Mara continued, voice trembling but fierce. "You rely on me because I never complain. You expect more because I never say no. But you don't realize what it's done to me. I'm not your backup parent. I'm not your default problem solver. I'm your daughter, and I deserve the same freedom, the same recognition, the same love." Tears filled her eyes. For once, I want my life to be mine, and that was the moment the truth finally broke through their assumptions, like lightning cracking open a dark sky. The aftermath. The house was cold the next days, not silent, not explosive, just cold. Dad avoided long conversations. Mom walked around with a look of guilt she tried to hide. Chloe apologized privately to Mara for leaning on her too much. And Mara, she kept moving forward. She worked on her portfolio. She applied for programs. She devoted time to her passions. She practiced saying no without guilt. And slowly things began to shift. Mom knocked before assigning tasks. Dad started asking for her opinion, really asking. Chloe became more independent. The responsibilities spread more evenly. Balance didn't come overnight, but it came because they finally understood. They finally saw her, not as the girl who always gave, but as the woman who deserved to live. The rise. Mara submitted her portfolio. She attended workshops she once sacrificed. She started writing essays that earned recognition. She began dreaming again, loudly, proudly, unapologetically. And when her acceptance letter arrived from a prestigious creative institute, she didn't hide it. She didn't downplay it. She didn't apologize for it. She celebrated it. We all did. Mom cried. Dad hugged her. Chloe screamed with excitement. And I watched her, my sister who once whispered her dreams, now standing boldly in the light she always deserved. The new boundaries. But the most beautiful transformation wasn't the acceptance letter. It wasn't the recognition. It wasn't the praise. It was the boundaries. The invisible lines that once didn't exist, now strong, clear, respected. She didn't become harsh. She didn't become distant. She didn't become cold. She became balanced. She became free. She became whole. And our family changed with her. Because sometimes one person's courage becomes the light that guides everyone else out of their darkness. The final moment. One evening, months later, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset burn orange across the sky, I asked her, "What changed you the most?" She smiled softly, the wind brushing her hair. "Realizing that I matter," she said. "Realizing that my voice matters. Realizing that sacrifice doesn't make you loyal. It makes you disappear. And I refuse to disappear." I looked at her, the girl who once folded under pressure, now standing, unshaken in her worth, and I felt something warm settle in my chest. pride, admiration, love, all of it, because she wasn't just my sister. She was a warrior who fought silently for years and finally claimed her victory. Final powerful lines. She wasn't breaking the family. She was breaking the imbalance. She wasn't choosing selfishness. She was choosing freedom. And standing beside her, I learned something too. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is simply say, "This is where I draw the line.